Hi, everybody. Well, I thought it was time that I got caught up with all of the Blu-rays that we've been buying lately. So let's go ahead and get started. The two most important updates to my collection this year are these two that you see in front of me. It would be hard for me to decide which of these two would be the best movie of the year that came out in the theaters in 2015. Yeah, I still probably couldn't make up my mind between these two because they've both been in and out of my Blu-ray player constantly since I bought them. Um, Sicario is a great movie. It relates to the, drug war, I guess, and particularly how it impacts cities along the border with Mexico. Um, Now, you get a lot of really good screen time and action with Emily Blunt again. Those of you fans who've seen her in Edge of Tomorrow, she does a little bit more of that in this movie. Too bad the writing kind of made her her character is a little bit reluctant, um, a little indecisive at times, as far as going along with, the special assignment that she's on. Uh, but you can tell by the placement of the photographs that with this very prominent shot of Benicio del Toro, he's really I guess you could say, the hero of this movie. And he's incredibly awesome, and I guess you could say badass. Yeah, some really good footage. Lots of scenes that are really fun to watch, for me at least, because I really get tired of movies that have to do with, standoffs with guns, where the police are drawn down and the suspect still manages to draw his gun and fire first, which is just ludicrous. Here, you get lots of professional special forces kind of guys. Emily Blunt is FBI, like a hostage rescue team type of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of, let's say, respect to their abilities in some of the shootout scenes. It's really fun to watch. So, anyway, the other thing I really like about Sicario is the music, or the score, I should say. Really wonderfully tense, kind of creepy, I guess you could say, but I just love the sound that they created. And now here we have the Martian, which, I mean, it's so much about, Matt Damon and his ability to carry the story along, and his humor and his just his personality overall. Just amazing. I love what they did with this. But what was really fun also, besides all the sci-fi stuff, and the cast is ridiculously good. There's so many people in this that I wouldn't be able to name them all. There's just an endless amount of talent in The Martian. What made this story a lot of fun is watching smart people kind of, even when they're not really in communication with each other, they all have the same education level, the same problem solving ability, so they kind of are able to follow what each other are doing, kind of come to the same conclusions, the same proactive way of moving forward in the story. And the way that they work in concert with each other is, it actually creates some humor, which is pretty cool. But there's so many fun moments that are fun to watch over and over again. So yeah, definitely either of these are awesome additions to the collection. So very happy that they're out on Blu-ray. Alright, now we're going to give you what some might call a guilty pleasure. Magic Mike XXL. Uh, I did go to the theater with my lady to see this. It was mostly middle-aged women in the audience. We seemed to notice. Of course, we're middle-aged too, but that was pretty amusing. uh, I have to say, I've seen the first movie, and it was okay. Um, didn't really necessarily make me want to watch it over and over again. But the second movie is just so much more light-hearted, and in some ways, I want to say that the dancing is better. I don't know if it is for sure or not, but it really just, was amusing to watch. But again, it's all laced with humor. So, and you get so many great secondary characters along the way. Andy McDowell is a really, really charming, I guess you could call her character somewhat of a cougar. Not really, not intentionally, but yeah, she's awesome. She's so funny. But yeah, they do a lot of the dance stuff, especially with Channing Tatum. Long shots, single takes of the camera sitting still, and which is the opposite of how you shoot something when somebody can't really dance and you're trying to make it look like they can. So obviously he's very talented to be able to just put the camera and just sit there and let the camera just watch. But yeah, it's a really funny movie. Obviously, we're into lots of R-rated movies. That certainly goes for Sicario, by the way. Very gruesome. But anyway, yeah, pretty good addition to the collection. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I just got this, so I haven't actually watched the Blu-ray yet, but we've seen it in the theater, and I just thought it was really funny. Like I said, having only seen it once, I just thought that the interplay between these two characters was just funny, and plus, you have Henry Cavill, who I believe is now playing Superman, right? He's kind of got a really dry wit, really deadpan delivery of all of his lines. So yeah, that makes it kind of fun to watch and funny. So anyway, now back to kind of badass female lead characters. Charlize Theron, the new Mad Max, Fury Road, and of course Tom Hardy, who's pretty much showing that he's good in anything. But yeah, I was very impressed with Charlize Theron in this movie. The other thing that's really amazing about the new Mad Max, that just is so awesome, is how many practical stunts that they did. There's really very little CGI. I mean, all of these amazing and crazy vehicles, they really built them, they really drove them, they really crashed them. You find yourself just amazed, not just at the stunts, but the fact that some real stuntman actually had to perform those stunts and actually survived them, But yeah, it's sort of similar. I'm not familiar enough with the original Road Warrior or Mad Max movies to be able to tell where they changed anything. Obviously, there were some changes that were pretty straightforward, but this is a really enjoyable movie, and we've been watching it repeatedly quite a lot. My lady actually bought this, so you can, that gives you some idea of how good it is, even for, a female audience. A Walk Among the Tombstones, another really badass. Liam Neeson, I don't know how old he is now, but he's just, you know, he's really good at playing this really tough, believably tough character who's also smart and cunning and, you know, but yeah, mostly intimidating. uh, there's also a brief appearance. I don't know if you'll see his name in the credits. One, a guy that I'm starting to follow a lot as a secondary character. He's a really well known. I guess he's a voice or DJ or both. Um, but he briefly is in this movie as one of the groundskeepers at a cemetery. But I think his name's Olafson. um, but yeah, he's got a really incredible voice. I mean, the guy should probably do ASMR videos or something. uh, but yeah, he's just really sympathetic somehow, which is funny because we just saw him play a completely demonic character in another movie that we like, The Last Witch Hunter. And even in that, you know, there's something really magnetic about him. So, but yeah, getting back to Liam Neeson, this is just a really fun story. Again, you know, there's a certain darkness to it, and it's very R-rated. But, you know, it's kind of a thriller, kind of a detective type of thing, and all of those mixed together. So, yeah, good story. Of course, yes, we bought Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's a part of me that's not big on, I guess, you know, comic book type movies. Can't tell you why. They just, I don't know. And yet, they did such a great job on this, and there's such a huge cast. It's hard not to enjoy it, you know. So we saw it in the theater. I've seen it a bunch of times on cable. We've now seen the Blu-ray, which looks amazing. And yeah, there's just too many good people in this not to like it. Winter's Tale. Most of the reason I like this movie is because of Russell Crowe, and especially the couple of scenes that Will Smith is in. It's funny to watch people play, like, you know, a Lucifer type character, or, you know, a demon who's just got a really horrible outlook on life. I mean, he only exists to kind of do harm. But yeah, he has a really menacing and interesting, fascinating kind of character. But yeah, it's kind of a touching story as well, kind of spanning long periods of time, things like that. So it's sort of a period piece for about half of it, and then becomes more modern. But yeah, I don't know. I think opinions are very divided on this movie, but we enjoyed it. So here's another one that's a little bit of a different and new story, Dracula Untold. But yeah, we usually like Dracula type movies anyway. But what they did with this, you know, changes in the mythology, and the whole thing with having only a 3-day time period where, as long as he doesn't drink blood, then the effects of being a vampire will wear off after 3 days, and hopefully he can use the strength to defeat his enemies. But obviously the pull to drink blood is strong. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting scenery and battles and stuff like that in this, so yeah, we liked it very much. We're now catching up to the Vin Diesel Riddick movies. So again, this is more my lady's side of the collection, but yeah, very entertaining, and the Blu-ray obviously captures the crazy, like, sci-fi type worlds that they create, and I don't know, I've always found Vin Diesel as, has a great screen presence, you know. So yeah, so we have Riddick and Chronicles of Riddick. Beautiful. They look very, very beautiful on Blu-ray. So yeah. Here's another one that's probably got some divided opinions. Seventh Son. A lot of people were already divided on Jeff Bridges' character and R.I.P.D., so they were even more so on this, because it's almost like the same character, supposedly. And yes, there's certain ways that he looks and sounds a little bit the same, but it's different. And I think this is sort of like a cross between, like, the fun of watching R.I.P.D. and Stardust. But yeah, we also have Julianne Moore as a witch, an evil queen witch or something. And actually, this main character right here in the center was actually in Stardust also. But anyway, yeah, lots of pretty cool special effects with the demons and the witches and that sort of thing. And again, it's kind of a fun and funny kind of mentor story, bringing him up to have anywhere near the expertise and the battle skill as Jeff Bridges' character has. And that's kind of the funny thing. I don't remember too many movies where he's actually had to do any hand-to-hand combat or with weapons or whatever. But he certainly does a pretty good job of it here. Kate and Leopold. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Another Meg Ryan romantic comedy. Again, probably late to the party. I don't remember what year this came out. 2001. But what really got me is Hugh Jackman's performance. He's just funny in anything. I like when he's, performing characters like this, or, when he's playing his Wolverine character, where he's just, brooding and antisocial and that sort of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of really funny humor in this, and the fish out of water kind of thing, and yet finding his place somehow. Yeah, it's been on cable a lot, and eventually we kind of thought, why don't we just buy it on Blu-ray, because it would probably look better, and also it's just, it's a funny story. We like watching it more than once, so. Right. Getting back into my side of the collection. So yes, finally, we have Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Eventually I'm going to have to get a whole collection of Monty Python movies. Sadly, my lady does not sympathize with this style of humor, so if I want to watch these movies, I have to watch them by myself. But yeah, this is a classic. I mean, I think I started watching this kind of stuff in high school, so it's been a good 25 years or something like that, probably more. But yeah, this movie is definitely one of the best Monty Python movies. If you're one of those sad people who've never maybe seen very many of them, this is a good place to start. So yeah, it's pretty funny how they play all kinds of different characters and even play some of the female characters in drag, of course. So, yep. And of course, also have to have the Holy Grail. I love how this has a warning label on it. New uncensored Q&A, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you can't necessarily fault them for just making sure that people understand that the humor is definitely of the R-rated variety. But yeah, this is a great movie. It's so funny. This was so good that when I was a kid, I would even, I think some library that I lived near had the script for this that you could just check out and read. And also the record, the actual vinyl record, soundtrack, basically, which, didn't exactly go the same running time as the movie, and there were a lot of other jokes put in, because they kind of made it like it was in a theater where I believe they pretended that the film stopped working or something, and then, made a bunch of jokes about that. Anyway, the Blu-ray of this looks amazing. It really looks, it looks so good that, again, it's like watching it for the first time, at least for me, because I've seen this many times on cable, and of course on VHS. I don't know if I have the DVD, maybe, but when you have the Blu-ray, of course, everything looks a lot closer to the original film quality and the sound quality. So it's pretty amazing, and it brings out a lot of detail I'd never seen before, particularly in the Castle Anthrax scene, if you know which one that is. That was a little surprising, and especially that I'm pretty sure I've seen this at least once in high school with my parents. And, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's a great movie. Under the Skin. Here's another movie that I'm sure the opinions and the critics kind of were very divided on. I would definitely say I'm along this side. Mesmerizing performance by Scarlett Johansson. I think what struck me the most is just how here she is playing this character that's basically like an alien and in a way, preying on humans, but yet she's so sympathetic and she's so human in her performance and how she relates to people, especially, people that are kind of used to being ridiculed by others around them, and so they're kind of slightly sad or slightly, not really defensive, but you know what I mean. And here she comes along and she's so, like, genuinely compassionate, up until the moment where she has to do her thing, of course, but, yeah, I was very moved by that, and, of course, erotic performance, yeah. Well, she is, nude a lot in this, and I'm certainly not going to complain about that, but, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would watch it to be stimulated erotically. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it's a really interesting, kind of slow, I guess. I sometimes really like having movies in my collection that are, that are quiet, and maybe slow. It's a different mood, I guess. So here we have View to a Kill. I've actually been trying to get a hold of this on Blu-ray for a while. It's probably my second favorite Bond film of the Roger Moore era, and I know that he's more it's almost funny how not rugged he is. Because obviously Bond is supposed to be a pretty rugged character. Um, but yeah, a lot of the humor comes from that being almost a little bit effete, you know. But I mean, the cast in this movie, as you can see, Christopher Walken, Grace Jones, um, and I really should remember her name, Tanya Roberts, of course. Yeah, Tanya Roberts, as in beautiful Playboy model. But yeah, she's really fun to watch in this movie, and Grace Jones, she's so cool as a kind of a bad character, kinda. I don't know. And I mean, Christopher Walken. Are you kidding me? In a Bond film, that's awesome. Um, but yeah, the Blu-ray of this is stunning. There's scenes, obviously, as you can see here. This is on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. But there are other scenes that the architecture and the scenery, just my jaw was on the floor. I could not believe how good it looked. I was expecting Blu-ray to make it look good, but whoa, you know. Yeah, if you're a fan, you should check this out. In the Line of Fire. This is another terrific ensemble. You have Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood in this movie plays up a lot of the humor of his own. I mean, he has to actually. I think he's in better shape than he pretends to be in this movie, but he really plays up the whole thing with him being an aging character who's questionable when it comes to being fit for being a Secret Service agent, and doing the job where you have to run along with the with the limo with the president inside. Rene Russo is great, and obviously John Malkovich is so awesome as like kind of a friendly villain, but he's also menacing. And yeah, there's just a lot of really cool scenery around Washington, D.C. and a couple other places. I think they show a little bit of Denver, which is pretty cool, but yeah. There's also a really young, there's a few other people in here. Gary Cole, very young. Gary Cole, if you remember, played Lumbergh. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, this has been a favorite of mine for a while. I'm sure I bought a studio release VHS of this, and so it's nice to have it on Blu-ray now. Crocodile Dundee Part 1, Crocodile Dundee Part 2. Yeah. I've always liked these two movies, He's just really funny, yet, there's enough of a serious tone that it's not just a comedy. But yeah, it's pretty hilarious that he can, crash through a window and then just nonchalantly say, "Oh, excuse me." Or, "That's not a knife. That's a knife." Yeah, there's so many funny parts, I can't name them all, but yeah, pretty cool to have this double feature Blu-ray. And we have Bad Boys. I mentioned in my Hidden Packages Vice City video, or maybe in the Safe Houses video, one of the two, I was talking about the South Beach, Miami, the section where you see all of the Art Deco buildings lit up at night. And I mentioned Bad Boys is one of the movies that shows second unit shots of that a lot. Yeah, so having this on Blu-ray is pretty awesome. I just bought it, so it's still in the plastic. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this again. and Taya Leone, kind of cool, but I like her, but you know, she's a little slightly annoying in this movie, in this role, I mean. But yeah, still pretty attractive. Yeah, these guys are funny how they play off each other. So, yeah, it's pretty nice to have this on Blu-ray now. Now, the final thing I have for you tonight is, as I've said before, I've not been buying very many DVDs, but Meg Ryan again. I wasn't sure if I had this in my collection somewhere, and I've been looking for the Blu-ray, and it's just not out there. But the DVD was ridiculously cheap, so I just had to buy a copy. But yeah, if you haven't seen this, it's almost a cult classic, really. You know, all the parts with Dan Hedaya, his boss, especially, are really funny. The scene with the guy who makes his luggage, love that scene as well. But I mean, you know, there's so much good stuff in here, and you know, Lloyd Bridges is really funny. Also, Ossie Davis is in it. Robert Stack, that's pretty funny. But what's fun about this movie, other than, you know, the story, is that Meg Ryan plays 3 different characters. So yeah, that's pretty fun to watch. So, and she does a good job of, you know, having slightly different and weird personalities in some of them. So yeah. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. But yeah, the story is really funny. So, like I said, I kind of wish it was available on Blu-ray, because there's a lot of scenery that probably will look really awesome. But who knows? Maybe 4K will come to their senses and release this. So who knows? We'll see. All right. Well, that's about all I have for you. Yeah, I'm just trying to get caught up with some of the other videos that I need to make here. And as usual, thank you for watching, and thanks for leaving me comments. I certainly have all of your requests still in my inbox, and if it's not gotten done yet, then it just means I'm still working on it. So, but yeah, I'm hoping to catch up to all of the videos that have been requested within the next few weeks at the latest. So anyway, all right, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.